My name's Christella Antoni and I'm a speech and language therapist, and one of the things I specialise in is working with people who have voice problems. Voice problems happen to lots of people for lots of different reasons. Sometimes it's because the voice has been abused or misused, and in those instances people can have things like nodules or vocal polyps on their vocal cords. Or in other cases it could be because somebody's had a trauma or an injury to their larynx that's affected one or both of the vocal cords. In other cases it can be because of emotional factors. Stress plays a huge part in some voice problems, to the extent sometimes that you can lose your voice completely and have just a whisper. For others, they might just not like the sound of their voice, or it may be weak. It might be too deep or too high. Or there are some diseases and progressive conditions that affect the voice very negatively, and all those kinds of people might see a voice specialist like me to help them with their voice. You may have never thought how your voice works, because really we take it for granted. We open our mouths, we speak, our voice comes out, and our voice is very dependent on the shape of our vocal tract and how we use it. So your vocal cords are just behind your Adam's apple, and they vibrate, the air comes up and makes them vibrate, and the sound travels up, and we shape it with our teeth and our lips and our tongue, and we can control the volume, and we have accents, and all that plays a part in how our voice sounds. But what happens when it goes wrong? Perhaps if you've been shouting too much, or you've worked in a very noisy environment and pushed your voice in the wrong way, you might end up the next day with a hoarse voice. You may end up sounding like this, or your voice might disappear completely. People who have nodules sound very husky all the time. They sound a bit like this, or they can sound a bit croaky, or they can sound a combination of both. It depends. And there are many conditions that happen to the vocal cords, things like cysts and polyps, and they make the voice sound breathy or husky. Or sometimes they might affect you in one specific part of your range. You may do a glide, and notice that it disappears somewhere in the middle. Other things that can go wrong is a total paralysis of a vocal cord. If one vocal cord doesn't vibrate to meet the other, you're going to get a husky voice, a very husky voice, because the air is escaping through the vocal cords. Voices can sound very strange for one reason or another, and this might present as a kind of a spasm in the larynx, where the voice just sounds very, very effortful, a bit like this, where it's just creaking and feeling very effortful. At its worst, it can be a type of spasmodic behaviour, where it goes a bit like this, where the voice cuts out in and out. If you've had a hoarse voice for more than 2 or 3 weeks, and if it's not related to a virus or a cough or a cold, you need to ask your GP to refer you to an ear, nose and throat doctor who can refer you to a voice specialist like me.